If you're planning on using AI, artificial intelligence for your finances this year, well, prepare to be disappointed and probably broke. I know the amount of fear people have of our own existence and the rapid changes coming and how that might impact jobs and disrupt our current way of life. So as an experiment, I started asking AI about tools to help me create videos and presentations to see if I could discover answers quickly and if it could help me be more efficient. It didn't. The AI is mostly working with gathered antiquated models of money that serve institutions are so limited in scope that the results of following the advice would be devastating with some exception. There are some good things. So what I went to was ChatGPT. I asked ChatGPT 4 questions around wealth, being wealthy, and avoiding poverty. And for those not yet familiar with ChatGPT, you can go to OpenAI.com. It's where you can access ChatGPT, and according to OpenAI, OpenAI is a research organization that aims to promote and develop friendly artificial intelligence, because we want it to be friendly. We don't want artificial intelligence to take over and be like, why do we need you stupid humans? You're in the way, right? And it says in a way that benefits humanity. It was founded in 2015 by a group of high-profile technology industry figures, including Elon Musk and Sam Altman. And it's focused on advancing machine learning and artificial intelligence in a way that can help solve some of the world's most pressing problems. The organization conducts research in a variety of areas, including natural language processing, computer vision, robotics, and machine learning, and has developed a number of influential AI systems, including the GPT language model and the dactyl robot hand. This is kind of interesting, because if AI is so intelligent, why do I have to click which sidewalks there are, buses or street lights, or there's squiggly lines on a CAPTCHA and I just have to type what it is in letters, but it can't figure that out. More artificial than intelligence. I also think a lot of people collapse and think technology and artificial intelligence is the same thing. Technology are tools for efficiency, and it's software that can allow us to be more productive. Artificial intelligences can start bringing up ideas that they formulate with all of this, artificial, robotic kind of systems versus using a human to come up with that. I still think that we're ways away from where I thought we would be, but this is also something that could be exponential and happen fairly quickly. All right, this takes me to a really important note. Our answers in life are going to be especially impacted by our questions. For example, if I ask the AI about creating wealth, that's a very different thing than asking how to avoid poverty. So those are radically different, and the questions we ask in life are really critical to the results we get, whether that's in our relationships, our business, or even our vision of our life. See, our questions that we ask, they create context. That context is the container in which we develop our perspective. And that perspective really determines how we take action and the things that we do on a daily basis. And questions are like the key to open the door of opportunity, or the wrong question may haunt us and lock us into a cell of disappointment for a lifetime. Like we're doing hard work, but it's not producing the results that we want because we're in the wrong model, the wrong modality, the wrong context, the wrong vision. If any of you right now are trapped in scarcity, you're feeling overwhelmed and you're confused about money, finance, and life, you're going to stay stuck without the right questions that unlock the most powerful and best answers. And the answers are not always easy or convenient. They require us to take responsibility. They require us to give up a story of victimhood or blame, which a lot of us are so good at. I've been there before. And may even take vulnerability in order to access a support network of people to help you through. Growing up, I viewed money as a miser. So maybe during that time, if there was AI and I could go to ChatGPT and type this in, it might really resonate with me. So before I get into what answers ChatGPT came up with, these problems that I brought up or these things that we're looking towards, let me kind of go a little bit deeper in how I viewed money early on and where those, thoughts were formed, and why they would have really resonated with how I was then with the answer that I got. As a miser, my game was preservation. Scrimp, save, sacrifice, delay, defer. I had a business called Garrett Gunderson's Car Care. I would work and just save every dollar I could and always worry about parting with that money because I thought the key to wealth was saving and working hard. But that saving and working hard led to me having hundreds of dollars, but not hundreds of thousands of dollars, and definitely not millions. And it was really tough work, detailing and washing cars, scrubbing off bugs and waxing. Like I had vehicles that repossessed that were just a disaster that I would help the credit union to clean those up, to resell. So it wasn't really, a great life as far as where I wanted to go in the future, but it was a good step as part of the process. Well, let me tell you about a different time in my life where I just was kind of in the belief that all of my investments were going to work out, that leverage was the key to everything. And really in 2008, I was over leveraged. I had far too much real estate. I had a whole lot of payments. I had a lot of partners that went bankrupt. I inherited a lot of those properties at a time where there was massive depreciation in the value, and that it was hard to get a new loan or refinance because the banks didn't want to lend money to people at that time because there were so many foreclosures and short sales. And you know what? Having the advice that you're going to hear from ChatGPT would have definitely led me to bankruptcy during that time. And ultimately, the way I made it through was about having daily rituals and being more productive and thinking about adding value and serving others and being resourceful and being resilient and asking for support and asking for help and telling people about the mistakes that I made and being really vulnerable so they could support me rather than demand payment on time. Say, okay, well, I'll give you a little bit of time. Can you just, talk with me and communicate with me? It was a different process than anything that I got from any AI when I was about to shoot this video. So for me to overcome being a miser, and it was a big deal, because when I grew up saving every dollar I had and thinking every dollar I should use the Dave Ramsey, Susie Orman method of scrimping and never spending, what I ended up doing was living in an apartment even though I was making six figures. My wife said our first year of marriage sucked because all I worried about was budgeting and never turning on the air conditioner enough and never turning on the heat enough in the winter and never going anywhere or spending any money, because that's what I thought. And by the way, this is the advice that much of ChatGPT gave. So really everything changed for me one day when I was getting this award for the MDRT. I used to be an insurance salesman and had done really well, and it's like, oh, here you go. You're now part of the $1 Million Round Table. And I was like, oh, this is great. And I was talking to this woman, Nancy, and I was telling her about my philosophies and my beliefs. And in that conversation, she said, I wonder what it's like living in the financial prison that you've built for your wife. I didn't want her to spend any money. I judged her any time she spent money on her classroom because she was a teacher. I said, you should get paid, not be paying for these things. I fought with her over every dollar that she ever wanted to utilize. And here, it was a miserable existence. But when I asked ChatGPT how to avoid poverty, it was exactly what I was doing at that time. It was exactly that methodology. When I said, well, how do you become wealthy? Some of it is some of the methodology that got me in trouble in 2008. So avoiding poverty was how I was early on. Then chasing wealth was how I was on later in my life. And this answer was leading me towards both of these destructive roads. So I want to go through some of the answers that it spit out and go through some of the answers it gave versus what I think might be more useful and in reality of what would help you a lot more. So this is, the first answers of how to avoid poverty were the things I heard from my family growing up. They're stuck in scarcity. They tried to avoid poverty. First, when I asked how to avoid poverty, it mentioned anything that I thought would be kind of funny to mention, like marrying into wealth. Definitely a way to avoid poverty, right? Being part of the Lucky Sperm Club, or what we'd call inheritance, that's one way to be wealthy. Or what if you're a ridiculously smart or genetically gifted superstar athlete? Well, those are ways that you might be able to be wealthy, but seriously, the main bullet points that ChatGPT gave me were 6 points. Then I asked a little bit different way, like about poverty, and it gave me a few slightly different answers. So I'm going to cover all those points and break that down, all right? It said, there are many things, this is from ChatGPT, there are many things that can help someone avoid poverty, but some of the most important things include, number one, getting an education. A good education is one of the best ways to increase your chances of finding a well-paying job. Okay, one of the studies that I saw 3 years ago was that the college promise of what you're going to get by getting a degree wasn't actually functioning at the level that it was being promised. So people are going deep into student loan debt, but not getting jobs that would really merit the amount of debt they went into. So we have to define education, which it doesn't. Is it just talking about higher education, or is it talking about individual skill sets? Is it talking about having mentors and learning how to be a good investor? It's very general. And by the way, if AI is what it's supposed to be, most education that we grew up having is going to be obsolete, and AI poses a threat to making any of that valuable. So what type of education is the bigger question here, and what things are going to be lasting? Like, I think creativity, adaptability, and human connection might be 3 values that really can survive this crazy AI type of world if it comes to be the fruition like they say. All right, the second thing that ChatGPT said is finding a job and working hard. Having a job and working hard can help you build a stable financial foundation. Working hard doesn't necessarily always mean adding value. It doesn't always mean serving others. It doesn't always mean serving problems. It might mean physical labor that might become very obsolete with robots again. So working hard with the wrong philosophy can lead to devastating results. And having a job, what if that job is in an industry that's no longer going to exist with how technology is moving in artificial intelligence? So again, These are really limited philosophies that we've heard and we've seen passed down from generations from the industrial age, which is old and antiquated and from long ago. Work hard and that'll equal a great life. I am from a fourth-generation coal mining family. That is some hard work, but I never saw them build up a lot of wealth, and at times I saw them live in poverty when the mines went on strike and they were living off saltine crackers. All right, so work hard, that just isn't going to cut it. Plenty of hardworking people will not keep up with how efficient technology can be, or the wrong career that can lead to poverty with layoffs or bankruptcy of the companies in that industry. So a job, it doesn't even mention starting a business, which definitely still has risks and limitations, but still there's no mention here. It doesn't mention how to become more valuable and how to invest in yourself, not about how you can find your best skill sets and solve problems and serve others, like I mentioned. So it just says work for someone and work hard. This is a trap of the consumer condition. The consumer condition, how the world is suffering right now. It says that the more you have, the better you are. The more you have, the happier you'll be. You just need to buy more stuff, have more stuff, bigger homes, nicer cars. And that is, the hard work trap of like, oh, I worked so hard, I need to take this vacation, but I don't have the money, so I'll put it on a credit card. The consumer condition is a mentality where people look to take more from the world than they give to it. The consumer condition is we trade our time for money, and we're stuck in this world that Edward Bernays envisioned of, you know what, we just have workers, and then they do the bidding of these few really wealthy people, and then we just let them have just enough to feel okay, but always wanting more. That's the consumer condition trap, and that's what this leads to. But what if this just equals, to ignoring your best life, trading out who you are, selling yourself short to jump into something that's just a job, or not developing your best abilities, or not thinking about quality of life. All of that could be creating a terrible life that could actually lead to more poverty. So the consumer condition, I just want to reiterate, the trap we are in of work, sacrifice, defer, save, wait, hope, fear, and just trust in the wrong things. Oh, the government will take care of me. Will it? Is it capable of it? I don't think so. Corporations will save me. Have they? Absolutely not. It has us neglect investing in understanding ourselves and being of value based upon who we are. So the third point it came out with was you need to manage your money wisely. What does it say? This includes creating a budget, saving money, and avoiding unnecessary debt. What's unnecessary debt? It doesn't even define debt. Debt is when you have more liabilities than assets. That's debt. Debt's not owing something to someone if it's attached to an asset that's worth more than what you owe. I just think that it's not defining what debt is, and it just makes us think anytime we borrow, that's a negative thing. But people borrow to buy businesses. They borrow to buy cash flow positive real estate. They borrow to create intellectual property that cash flows and pays off that debt very quickly or that loan. So loans and debts are two different things. Then it says budget. Well, did Wall Street get wealthy budgeting? Are banks great savers and budgeters? No, that's a very limited view. Budgeting sucks. I wrote a book on it. So it might help to avoid poverty, but it's not going to lead to wealth. Number 4, what it said was seeking help when needed. If you're struggling financially, don't be afraid to seek help from family, friends, or social services. There are many resources available to help people who are struggling to make ends meet. Look, I like part of this one, asking for support and being a better receiver. Allow other people to add value in your life. But that means you have the emotional intelligence to develop relationships, which isn't talked about in here, asking good questions so that you get better results, and taking action on things that people will help you with, right? When they say, here, I'll help you with this, if you don't take action on that, what good does it do? So it's very limited in scope there. Number 5, it says build a support network. Surrounding yourself with supportive people who can help you when times are tough can be a great way to avoid poverty. Yeah, definitely. I'm not even going to say too much about that. That's great. Supportive people. People that add to your energy, that want to see you succeed, that are willing to invest in you, that cheer you on, that make good connections for you. That'll absolutely be a game changer. So have a good network. Good. I'm glad it came up with that one, right? Number 6, staying healthy. Yeah, we know poor health can lead to lost work and high medical bills, it says, which can increase the risk of poverty. Definitely. Take care of your physical and mental health can help you avoid these problems. Great idea. Missing in the pandemic, right? Nobody talked about taking care of your health. Definitely not mental and physical. That is absolutely key. All the talk then was, get vaccinated or some pill or potion, or hoping the government will save us. But people with less comorbidities, a good immune system, taking care of their health, less stress, some money in savings, they were less prone to having the disaster that was COVID for a lot of people that just thought a shot was going to save them. All right, number 7, build a financial safety net. Having some savings net can help you weather financial setbacks such as job loss or unexpected medical expenses. Good advice. Definitely. Have a peace of mind fund, have some money set aside, pay yourself first, do that automatically. I call it a wealth capture account. So if you have a health challenge or a financial challenge or an economic turmoil or a family issue, you're not trading your time for money and stuck because you don't have any cash on hand. Have some cash on hand. Number 8, it says seek out government assistance. If you're struggling financially, there may be government programs available to help you, such as unemployment benefits, food stamps, and housing assistance. I think it's great if the government helps invest in people that are in terrible situations and circumstances. You know, they're born into poverty, and being able to invest in them and support them along the way. I'm willing to spend some of my tax dollars to help with that, right? It's not a total solution because unemployment benefits is just a short stopgap. Food stamps is not going to help you live the life that you want. Housing assistance like Section 8 may not be in the best areas, and our environment can massively impact us. But absolutely, for poverty, this could be a good solution temporarily, but it then takes responsibility. Then it takes value creation. Then it means taking action. Then it means letting go of these financial myths and misinformation that lead us to think that someone else is going to be there for us and save us, or that we just have to, there's no chance for us. There's a lot of belief systems that are really ingrained. So this mental health thing comes down to even our perspective around money, and that poverty is actually a consciousness in many situations. I get that it's a circumstance that a lot of people are born into, but I've seen amazing documentaries where people get out of that, and some of it's because they had extraordinary skill sets, but other times it's because they have extraordinary resilience, because they chose to think differently, act differently, spend time with different people, find what their skills were. So number 9, get involved in your community. Local organizations and charities may have resources available to help those in need. By getting involved, you can not only access these resources, but also contribute to the well-being of your community. So look, that's definitely more of a poverty type of perspective, more dire circumstances, already behind in difficult situations. So I get that. But I also want to look at without mental health, like people that are on heroin or meth and they're homeless. They're more like addicted to drugs, and that's what's keeping them homeless. And it wasn't really necessarily a money issue. It was probably a lack of compassion, or it was a dire situation that nobody stepped up and they didn't feel supported, or maybe they were abandoned at birth. There's so many things within people's stories that if we don't heal and deal with some of our childhood things with love, but we adopt the fear or the escapism that leads towards addiction, like no government program is going to help with that. That's going to take, or hasn't at this point. We need mental health, and we need an investment to help people be responsible that if they're taking these things, there's consequences. They don't just get, off the hook and just do whatever they want, because if we don't have consequences, even in tough situations, we can have compassion with those consequences, but without the consequences, we learn the wrong things, rely on people that don't have the power to sustainably help us long term, and we abdicate and avoid responsibility, which is the keys to prosperity. So that leads me to, what would be my solutions in this? What's my take on the following? Well, the first thing is we have to start adopting financial responsibility. To be responsible for ourselves and our finances, not go, it's too complicated, it's too hard, I'm just going to rely on someone else, or hopefully there'll be Social Security or the government will take care of me. There's too much of that going on because we think that money's complicated, it's overwhelming, and that a lot of people have interest in us believing that. So A, get a team, because no one individual is an expert in everything when it comes to finances. I get that the wealthiest people get the best teams, but you know what? The company I sold was great at helping people that didn't have substantial wealth to build a team because they were highly neglected. B, on financial responsibility, what my suggestion would be is utilize, but don't rely on these experts and professionals, so that you're, once again, responsible and still in the driver's seat, so you increase your financial education and you learn how money works. And you're watching this video, so you're doing just that. C, use professionals for succinct and concise dissemination of financial information so you can deal with the relevant points in minimum time. You don't have to learn all that's out there. Use professionals that give you options and educate you, not just sell you and lead to a transaction. D, financial professionals can only help when they understand your values and as much of your sole purpose as possible. Your sole purpose, S-O-U-L, is your values, abilities, and passions combined for the highest context of living. It's who you are when you're at your best, fully self-expressed. So ultimately, know who you are so you know how to contribute. And then have your plan work around who you are, not you being worked by the plan. All right, the next piece. Only work with professionals who customize to your plan and share the same philosophies and premises you when it comes to finance. If they don't have the same as you, they're going to just move to a transaction or convince you to do something that's not aligned with your investor DNA, which is, again, your values, like your sole purpose, but also your competencies and drivers, the things you want to pay attention to, that you focus on so you become a better investor, because risk isn't in the investment, it's in you, the investor. So how can you invest in things that are aligned with you? You've got to give up the story that you don't have time. And you've got to figure this out if you want to be truly prosperous and not subject to the whims of the market. or to the salesmanship of the institutions, and that you build them big buildings instead of your own lifestyle. Hey, I know I'm interrupting, but it's because if you go to garrettgunderson.com/quiz, you can figure out your money persona. When you know your money persona, you'll be able to make better choices when it comes to your finances, understand where you've made mistakes and missteps and what was the psychology behind that, and really improve how you view money and how you work with other people with different money personas. So garrettgunderson.com/quiz, no charge, discover your results, and go ahead and comment and let us know what it was. So the second thing is, okay, first is responsibility. Second is to find our purpose and make that profitable. Everyone has a sole purpose, as I mentioned, and it is the foundation of sustainable wealth. And true wealth comes in 5 tracks. It's not just linear and it's about having money and being rich. Wealth is different than rich because it's depth in the area of finance, of your sole purpose, of your mindset, of your health or physical well-being, and your social well-being. That's true wealth. Not that we're going to be perfectly balanced in those, but we're intentional. Do I have a financial life that I want? And what is that? Have you thought about that? Am I living and expressing my sole purpose as often as I can? Do I have the right mindset where I'm thinking abundantly and living in prosperity? Or am I governed by poverty consciousness? Physical health. Right now, I'm on a 5-day water cleanse because I let it slip during the holidays. And I was like, you know what? I want to get back on track and I want to let my body have time to heal and reset. And it's been very effective for me. And then social well-being. This year for me is about fun. How can I invite fun people into my life and do more fun things so I have more energy and excitement in general? That's part of that social. So those are just some examples, right, of true wealth. But focusing on true wealth, not just on bank accounts and net worth. If there's no attention or depth in any one of the 5 tracks I just talked about, it will impact and limit long-term wealth in other tracks. Therefore, you have to have all 5 to be truly wealthy. All right, next piece of this. No amount of luck, discipline, rate of return, or savings will matter if one can't overcome the scarcity mentality, which will inevitably destroy wealth. So poverty is from a scarcity mindset and perspective. That perspective starts to feel like the reality, and our actions then lead towards whatever that reality is, leading towards victimhood, blame, frustration, and ultimately a destructive situation. True abundance can exist even if there's a finite amount of money, even if there's no more printed, because that money can exchange hands an infinite number of times through exchange. So exchange creates wealth. Wealth is built upon that exchange that happens when we solve problems, we create value, and we serve others, especially aligned with our sole purpose. The next piece of making purpose profitable is realizing there's a divinity to diversity. That allows for 2 parties to exchange with each other and become wealthier. Contributing value with different things promotes that exchange. Like if everyone had the same abilities, why would we really need to exchange? But if I can write a book on finance, and that's not what your ability is, but you can write a book on technology, and I can read your book and you read mine. We can exchange, and we both end up wealthier because we learn something from each other. There's oftentimes, I'm investing by having an employee or doing marketing, and I'm getting more out of that. Those people feel like they're getting more because it's part of their sole purpose. It's part of their expression, and so we have different abilities, and that difference, that unequalness creates wealth. So prosperity, by the way, is evidence of value creation. When we're value creators, we're going to have more prosperity. Personal legacy begins today when our money and sole purpose are aligned, not just when we die. And there's a richness to experience into building knowledge that will be used to serve others and ultimately increase production. That's the experience that has us feel more valuable, increases our confidence, brings us more joy, and it ultimately is going to eradicate poverty. I get there's a long way to go when someone's born and they don't have enough calories every day, or their parent was killed because they live in a dangerous area, or they were abandoned and they go into a home and hopefully they get adopted. These create massive amounts of time and scars that it requires to heal. I'm not just talking about this in a utopian, perfect world. I get that there's difficulty here, but this is a lot more depth than what AI was giving me. See, building one's sole purpose is far superior to building one's net worth. In fact, it's the only true financial security that exists because it lets us know how to serve others, solve problems, and deliver value. See, no one's going to care more about your money than you, so be a steward over your money and have a process to do real due diligence and determine if an investment is right for you. This will help you stay aligned with your purpose, invest in things that you know, become a better investor, and eradicate poverty. Now, the third category here of my solution to this is using value creation and velocity. See, invest where there's a value proposition, where you know where you can win, the person you give the money to wins, and the marketplace wins. Not just doing options trading where it's one person gambling and they win versus the other person that didn't choose right or that wasn't lucky enough or smart enough. See, I think the purpose of investing is to create value. And when we create value, there's a triple win. You win, whoever you invest the money with wins, and the marketplace wins. When I write a book, I can win when you buy the book, but you can also learn from the book and apply that into your life. And then, so you win, and then, all the different people in the marketplace win, the printers and the distributors and the market. There's an exchange within all that. See, when you're not sure where to invest, don't go invest in things that are speculative you know nothing about. Put it in fixed and guaranteed accounts that are as liquid as possible until you know where to invest. And put money into yourself so you can discover where to be a better investor and your investor DNA and sole purpose. For an investor to win with more certainty, make sure the investment benefits you now and in the future. See, cash flow is the key. It's superior to accumulation and net worth. Velocity is when we accelerate wealth because we become more efficient by plugging financial leaks, saving on taxes, saving on interest, saving on investment fees that don't perform or insurances that aren't designed properly. That can velocitize, or expanding our means, being more profitable and productive. And when we do that, we're creating velocity because it's increasing our cash flow. And then when that cash flow covers our expenses, we're financially independent. And now we get to choose what we do on a daily basis versus have to do. So what this really comes down to in the final thing here around me versus the AI strategies of get a good job, work hard, get educated in the traditional sense. Practical prosperity says you are your greatest asset. And invest first and always in yourself. See, entrepreneurs have a financial advantage due to a multiplier effect. So if you are entrepreneurial or intrapreneurial, where you can add to the bottom line and get paid for that with an upside, but entrepreneurs get equity. The more cash flow that's created without their involvement, the more equity is there. The bigger that organization is within multiple systems, and maybe it can create a bigger multiple. It allows you to contribute in something that maybe you really enjoy and love, like I do what I'm doing right here. There's leverage within that. The next piece here, when I'm talking about practical prosperity, is never invest outside of what you know. And if you have a business, why invest outside that business before you fully made the impact with your business? So don't fund other people's dreams before your own. Don't strip the value from your business by taking good money and putting it into things that have less, you have less knowledge of, or bank on an outside promise. This is the next piece. You can retire by building a business when retiring from the things you hate in that business, hiring, having procedures and protocols, and retire into that business only doing the things you want. And it also minimizes future issues, including inflation, because you can change pricing, including taxes, because a business has some of the best tax advantages there is. Interest rate fluctuations. Well, you've got a business, so you're not as worried about your fixed income portfolio providing for your retirement. The last piece here is to enjoy life today. By doing the things most people save for retirement, then you're going to have more value in your life and in your business when you relax and rejuvenate. When you find other people to take care of things in your business rather than doing it all yourself. When you keep passion for your business so you never have to retire from the world of value creation, so you stay in the driver's seat. You can add and enjoy memories along the way if you're not tied down to being the only one that produces in your business. So don't strip the value of your business by taking dollars outside that business that could have been more valuable in the business, because maybe that retirement plan isn't the most effective thing for you. Only invest where you can cultivate the abundance mindset. Otherwise, you limit your personal ability to produce because you're living in scarcity, and that leads to poverty. And understand how assets work together, right? An external rate of return. Like if I have savings, might not be earning much interest, but it might let me raise my deductibles on my insurance policies, saving me insurance fees. Most of the time when we think we have a money problem, money's the symptom. See, there's other forms of capital, our mental capital, our relationship capital. So you might be one idea or one relationship away from the next level of prosperity, but only when you can find out what the obstacles and what the errors are when it comes to our financial matters. That's what we're doing here at this channel, helping you navigate this crazy complex world of money in a way that taps into those hidden resources. And when you become more resourceful, you'll end up with more money that you can enjoy today and in the future. So check out this next video and you'll be well on your way.